Sam, welcome to the
Hey,
podcast.
be on the podcast.
I'm so glad you said yes.
Oh, this is great.
We had some technical
We
difficulties,
did
but
last time we tried to do it.
yeah,
This time in person, way much better.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
working it out. We're working it out. Okay, so listen, I'm not even sure where to begin because there's so much to you and your story.
Oh,
So, you know what? Let's just go back to the beginning. Okay, let's go back to India.
yeah.
And I mean, let's just start there. What was it like growing up in India? Because I've never been.
India is fun. India is a land of many talents, and I think there's a lot of culture, a lot of people that it's just beautiful. It's just so much diversity in everything, and I had different kinds of friends, and I love my family. So it was just such a great place to live, really.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So was the music diverse? Like because it's so steeped in culture and tradition?
very diverse, and I think I love Indian. They call it Hindustani, Carnatic music. I love it. They have all these rags and like different scales that are just Indian.
Hmm.
And I think what I love to do is just like do a blend of Western and Indian. It's just beautiful. Yeah, if you have never heard Indian music, you should go check it out. It's very. I think they write from a lot of emotion. So there's like when you hear the songs, even if you don't understand it, you can like literally hear so much emotion through every note that is being sung, the way they sing it, all of that. So there's so much of that. So I love Indian music.
Okay. So you started out singing or playing?
I started out playing um, in my church. I used to have actually before my church, I used to always be fascinated towards music. My mom and dad, they used to have a family prayer, and I would go in and I would bring all the plastic buckets, plastic boxes, and I would just put them all across and start playing while they're singing. That's how I started. And then um, from there it went to my dad buying me a small bongos, and then from bongos I went to Congo. I used to play percussion at the church for a while, for a long time, and then I learned how to play keys, and I probably that's where I actually started getting serious.
When you started playing
Yeah,
keys? See, I just learned something about you. You were like the little drummer boy.
I was the little drummer boy. I was a little Indian drummer boy.
that's, that's dope. And you know what? That is not easy. Because let me tell you, my friend asked me to play drums one time at her birthday thing. And I was literally trying to sing and drum on the drum set, and
I
it was
can't sing in drum.
it was a hot mess. I was like,
You can't do
I don't
that.
know why
You
I
gotta do
tried
it perfect.
this.
If you sing and drum, it's like, can you do this? Can you do one hand like this and one hand opposite? Can you do it? Try it. Try it, you guys.
Wait. No.
Singing and playing drums is like that. So
Okay.
if you can do that, you probably can sing in drum.
I feel
I
better
can't.
about I feel better about myself. So when you started keys, did someone teach you how to play keys or was it by ear?
Yeah, so my dad sent me to, it's like a worship school in India.
What?
It's a really cool place. I mean, I'm so grateful for that place. It's called Eternal Light Ministries. So they do summer camps for kids, who wants to learn music. So I went. My dad sent me there to learn keyboard, and I was so into it. I would not leave my. I would have a little Casio, which is like a toy piano. That's all I could afford,
Mhm.
and I learned all my scales, all my everything on it, and I would be so attached to it. Even every morning, I would wake up with it in my, and
Ah.
I would wake up and I would practice. I would fall asleep, just playing. So I was very passionate about it. That's how. I think in 1 month I learned a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, it's just, but the whole month was just music. So I think that helped, like this heightened um, focus really helped.
Wow, you're like some out of a movie. Like that is so visual. Like like you were the cutest kid. Like you went from drumming on boxes and
Oh,
barrels to
that's
sleeping with your
funny.
keyboard.
Sleeping with my little toy keyboard.
We need a movie about you.
Little August Rush movie going on there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you got serious when you started playing the keys and you were into worship music, but were
Mhm.
you into any other type of music?
Yeah, I would listen to a lot of Bollywood music, and I think, but I always kind of like, because I grew up in a pastor's family.
Hmm.
I think that was, listening to secular music was a sin. So I was like, I didn't know how to really navigate that, but I would secretly go listen to all of them. But also, I had like a very genuine desire to really shine God's name even in the secular places. Like, I think I knew from my childhood that I could still bring glory to God in the secular spaces too. So I always kind of like, I would look at all these music on MTV, and I'll be like, man, I wish I'd be there one day. And um, God started just opening some doors, even through that, even for the littlest of littlest dreams and stuff like that. So it was very, very inspiring.
I kind of want to hang out for a second on something that you said because I feel like that is maybe kind of a common conflict
Hmm.
that some artists or creatives have when they are very much into God and spirit and
Hmm.
it's like
Spirituality.
it's like what should I be working on, what should
Right.
I be doing, and the whole like
Yeah.
sin factor.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, have you ever noticed like if you listen to like a secular song versus like an inspirational gospel or whatever. Well, now it's kind of different because it's 2023. We have had some change, but before it used to be so apparent that like, oh yeah, that's a church song just because of like the quality and the way it was written.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it wasn't as like hooky
Hmm.
or like it didn't grab you as much as like the secular song.
Right.
But I wonder if some of that is because people don't really show up in their authentic self because they're trying so
Absolutely.
hard to fit within the
The
parameters
box. Yeah.
of what is acceptable.
Yeah. And I think the question should never be, is it secular or sacred? It's good or bad, right? There's no
Hmm.
such thing as secular. I mean, if somebody has a debate to say, well, if you're spiritual, you can be secular, then everything around us is secular. Like you working in a bank is secular. You working in um, a restaurant is secular. So is there do I so I had to come to that conclusion for my health and my spirituality with God, is I had to I had to stop separating that, oh, this is secular, this is sacred, and I had to like let God encounter me even through those um places, and he did. And I think that God is a huge part of my journey. And however, how much ever I tried to run away from him, I think somehow it kept drawing me back in, and he would still meet me. Even if it's secular music, I would listen to it and I would cry. I'm like, God, are you trying to tell me something? So it was some of those. And do I believe that there is bad music? Yes. How do I know it's bad or it's good? It's evil or it's good? Well, listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know there's some lyrics that are just dishonoring, disrespecting people, each other, I'm like, I try to stay away from that because it's not helpful for me. It's not helpful for my mental health. It's not even at that point. It's not even about spirituality anymore. It's about why do we have to listen to that?
Hmm.
If it's toxic, get out of it.
If it's toxic, get out. You heard it here. Get out of it if it's toxic.
Yeah.
That's
And you're probably the best judge to say if it's toxic or not. What's toxic for you might not be toxic for somebody else. What's toxic for me might not be toxic for you. So I try not to judge anybody, no matter what they listen to. uh, I think, but if you think it's toxic and you're doing it so you can look cool, you're shooting yourself. Pretty much. uh, so I learned that, and I'm like, music is such a great way to connect with God, but also with yourself. Like, I think it's a gift, to express ourselves in a more profound way that you can't do it any other way. You know, not just music, but any creativity in that sense, right? Is a gift for us to express how we can what we can't express with words sometimes, what we can't express with um, actions. I think creativity somehow has that effect on us. Like, if you're a painter, you start painting and you're releasing something. There's something actually happening. So when we turn that into people pleasing or inauthenticity, like not being authentic, or I don't know if inauthenticity is a word.
it can be a word. It can be a word today.
Today, I'm making it up. But when you start writing songs so that you could be on a record, you already sold your freedom.
Hmm.
It's like the very thing that frees you is now keeping you bound, right? Like, oh,
Hmm.
you're not doing it for expressing yourself anymore. You're doing it for suppressing you. So way later, I had to just learn that, and it has helped me tremendously.
Whoa, that's deep.
That's that's
I love it. That was deep.
that's
That was
deep.
deep.
Like, was
I want to ask you about um, being the founder of, is it called Bridge?
yes.
Because it's like at a certain point in your life, I don't
Mhm,
know how long ago you started that, you can tell us,
mhm,
but it's like you went to another level
mhm.
in terms of, because you went from just sharing and expressing your gift to like putting something together that's like way larger than yourself and involves so many
Mhm.
more people. So can you tell us about, how, why you started that and
Yeah,
what that was like?
yeah. So, I mean, I'll just kind of give you a backstory of, I started a band, I think 2007. That is how many years ago? I can't even do the math.
You want me to do math? That was my least favorite
2007, and
subject.
it's 2023. So about
What, 15?
14, 15 years, I
Okay,
guess.
yes, that was close.
I'm
Hey!
so horrible at math.
Me too.
Creatives are so horrible at
But
math.
you play piano. You were not. It's all math. Like it's math in a different way.
I've, I, every year it changes, so I keep getting confused. Like, I was sharing last year, I was like, oh, it was 10 last year. It was already 14. I know, you guys understand the struggle. So we used to be called Last Bridge, and we did okay. I think we had our moments of like not doing well and doing well, and um, we I was always like very focused, and if I put my mind to something, I want to do it, like,
Mhm.
that's always been me. My enneagram is the achiever, type 3. I just recently, I'm like, what, this is crazy. Like, it's like somebody's reading my mail, and it makes all sense, right? So so I think from my childhood, I've always been the achiever, and it happened. Like,
Hmm.
it was so simple, it was so easy too for me. It's not like I literally email my song to somebody, and it just happened. And then
What?
and obviously I think there's sometimes, we forget that God has a huge factor. I keep bringing God because I think it was a huge, for me. I felt more authentic writing Christian songs.
Mm-hmm.
um it has been just ingrained in me, right? And if I write anything else, I would be writing it for somebody else, like for the pressure of writing something, so I've always felt more comfortable in writing church songs. But I also had this desire, why can't church songs be on MTV?
Mm-hmm.
And we happen to be the first Christian band in India. Like, it's not usual to be on MTV. And I thought, man, that's it. I achieved the best thing in my life, and it was over. It was nothing. Like, oh my God,
Mm.
what now? Like, it just felt like, what's next? I guess it's over. Like, what? And I kept coming back to that place, right? So that was the first time. Um and then the next one was, we 10 years later, I came back. I was in the US for 3 years, and I went back to India. And then I was like, I felt like changing the name from Last Bridge to Bridge Music. And part of that story was, I think I started to think bigger than myself.
Mm.
Like, because every time I thought about myself, I felt like it was easy. It was so easy to achieve. Like, if it's just about me, if I wanted to be anywhere, I know I can be there.
Mhm.
It's very easy. But then, what's not easy, what what's not selfish and selfless, is you actually thinking bigger than yourself and the people around you. And I felt like, part of that was to just encourage and give the emerging artists a platform to really do what I couldn't when I was growing up. Like, man, I could never do this. And I see so much talent in India. And every time I see somebody who's more talented than me, I'm like, how are you not having the kind of exposure I'm having? This is not
Mm.
fair. Like, I genuinely feel bad when
Mhm.
I see somebody who's so talented. And I'm like, how is this fair? Like, so I felt, one of the things I always say is, the favor that is on my life is not just for me, it's for the people around me. And how can I be a blessing? And how can I share this gift with every other creatives that are around me? So that's how it kind of like started for me. Um, I went from just thinking about my success to actually starting to focus on, I want to see other people succeed, other people start walking in their dream. Um, and when that happens, I feel like the world's going to become a better place. And so that's how it kind of shifted for me. I don't know if that answers your question. It was just a
Yeah. I mean, it answered the question. It did. I'm thinking about, because when you said that you were watching MTV and you were like, I want to be on MTV, and then you sent an email and you're not on MTV, and it just happened. And I was like, you know what? I watched a lot of shows when I was a kid, and I was like, I want to be on that, and I want, and it didn't happen for me. But then you
Yeah.
were talking about how like different things happen, for you versus
Mhm.
like other people. I think that's important to highlight, because I feel like that's where people end up getting stuck in terms of the land of discouragement. It's like when things aren't happening for them that they think should be happening, but they're not happening like as fast. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I've been on the other side, right? I hear so many people getting discouraged about what they couldn't get.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's way more discouraging when you get what you want and you still don't know what you're doing in life.
It's good.
It's when, oh no, like, that was everything I wanted, and I
Mm-hmm.
have it, and I'm still not. There's something missing in my life. And I think that I've been there so many times, and it was scary
Mm-hmm.
because I just didn't feel like there was nothing left to do. I felt like my life lost its purpose. And I think I've learned to become a learner. I've learned to keep going at it. I just wanted to um, keep learning and never stop,
Mm-hmm.
keep giving. And I think the biggest breakthrough for me was giving up my definition of success.
Mm.
Like, and I think our definitions of success is so messed up. Everybody's definition. Who gets to define success? Like, let's just be honest. Who defines? How do you define success?
Mm-hmm.
Can you define success? Can you define success? No, we can't. You may say, if I have money, okay, there are a lot of people who have money and they're not
Right.
happy. They're not fulfilled. The most loneliest people in the world are the most famous people. And I was there too. Like, it was just like I went from, oh, I don't have nothing, to like having so many people listening to my music. Um, and that was scary because I just felt like nobody knew me in a way. Like, it's like everybody knows who you uh, pretend to be, in
Mm-hmm.
the sense, like, because obviously you're not going to just go and share your whole struggle with the world. you know you do that with people that you love, and everybody thinks, they look at you and like, man, he's got his life figured out. No, I wasn't. I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared. I never wanted fame. um, um, and I think one of the things that I've learned is like success, just surrendering success over and over and over again, will keep me going uh, much further. Because the moment you say I'm successful, you also said I'm not going to grow anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, we may have met some goals, we may have been um, successful in whoever's eyes that is, but I think celebrating victories, but not actually getting prideful and stuck in those successes,
Yeah.
or not even doing it for success. Like, I've realized one of my favorite things to do is love people. Like, I I think creativity is all about giving. Like, we create, one, to give to ourselves, but also to give to people around us.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, when I am following success and I'm going like, I need to be successful, I need to be successful, there are people that I'm running with, that I'm ruining relationships. It's like, you don't matter to me, my success matters to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to keep going. If you come in my way, I'll crush you too.
Mm-hmm.
and and not and I think what we don't understand, we're crushing ourselves in the process, and that's probably why we're not getting anywhere sometimes. It's our ego, it's our own need for this. I gotta get this, it's just selfishness in so many levels. And I think after going through that road so many times, I'm at this place. I'm like, for me, success is loving people well.
Mm-hmm.
For me, success is being comfortable in my own skin. Like, I don't, I'm not sorry for how I feel. Like, I have freedom to be myself, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I think it's very hard to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're writing music and you're always writing, what will people like? You're writing something and you're like, oh man, what if this doesn't sell? So I think that's what stops us from really being successful. Like, I think when you do something in an authentic way, success follows you. You don't follow success. I think that's something, like, the sign. If I'm trying to go after success, something is wrong. If success follows you, you're on the right path. Keep going. Don't stop. Keep going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, there's a couple of things I'm thinking
I
of
need
right
to keep. I need to stop while I'm talking so you can comment.
Why? No, this is all so good.
Sorry.
I'm
I'm
not
like,
gonna I'm not gonna interrupt you when it's good.
oh, good.
But I mean the fact that okay, here's the thing. So with creatives and with artists, I feel like there's this false sense of in listening to you talk. It's like there's this false sense of, oh, I'm being so giving, I'm being so generous
Mhm.
because I'm expressing myself. But they're not synonymous because you're in it's like your intent, it's like
Yeah,
what is your intent behind why you're expressing yourself? It's
that's
like
so good.
the minute that you want something in return, it's not a gift. It's no
That's a
longer a gift.
that's a
It's no longer
transaction.
generous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing that you brought up in terms of like, it was like you felt like you had a sense, like you felt like you knew where you should be headed or where you should be going, but you still really didn't have your sense of direction. And I think that that's big because a lot of times in our minds, like we can have a plan, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And just because we have a plan or what we've concocted in our mind, we think we're good.
Right.
But you can still not have a true sense of direction, even though you have a plan.
Right.
So, like now, where you're at in your life, do
Mhm.
you feel very confident in the fact that, like, I know my direction, I know where I'm headed?
The truth of the matter is no.
Okay.
I think that is freedom to me
Mm-hmm.
because I think I've been looking at that from the wrong sense. Like, because I don't know 2 years from now what kind of pandemic is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So for me, I am living in the now,
Yeah.
being present. Like today, I get to be here. Today, I get to make this the most memorable, beautiful moments of my life. And if I can do today well, I'll do tomorrow well. It's as simple as that. And I think that freed me a lot, rather than achieving, performing. And honestly, I was just doing my enneagram and I'm reading all these things, and I'm like, whoa, this so it's very humbling. It was like, if you've done enneagrams, like, oh, that's not me, no, that's not that can't be me. And suddenly I'm going home and I'm thinking about every single thing I read, and I'm like, that is totally me. That is totally me. And I think just going like, and I think I am so like, oh, I gotta get this done. I gotta go get it right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, I'm learning really not to pretend. I'm learning really not to perform for approval, but perform from love.
Mm-hmm.
And you said people, a lot of times people say like, I'm expressing, but I'm giving. I always use this example. I think a lot of people think if I give you my everything, then that's love. No, that's not love. If you give everything you got, I hope you know your everything is not always good. And no offense, but we got stuff that, I mean, imagine, I give this example. Let's say I love Indian food, I like spicy food. You come to my house and I said, I really want to love you better. I want to love you. I want to cook for you. Like, okay, fine. Just go easy on me because I don't do spice so much. No. I love you a lot. So I'm gonna put the whole spice jar in. I have to give you everything I have. So I'm gonna put the whole jar of spice in your curry, and you have to eat it.
It's a great example.
And I think that's how we love people sometimes, and creatives especially. Like, we give with an expectation that you should have listened to my songs. You should have liked my song because I did the work. And I think there is no love in that. And if you're still bragging about your hard work, has it always been about your hard work, or is it about loving somebody better, right? So you're giving, but with an expectation of validation. And I think, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get validation or you shouldn't ever be appreciated by people. No, when they give it to you, take it. Don't be falsely humble.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when we do it for those reasons, and I'm like, it's like saying, I'm the one who woke up really early in the morning. I cooked. I washed all the dishes. I cleaned the house. Da 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 da. All of that. And you don't like my food. I'm really offended that you don't like my food. You know what? I'm never gonna cook for you again. And now let's translate that into music, art, whatever. I'm the one who really worked all my life to release this album. And I did it. I sacrificed my college. I did this and this and that, and nobody buys my album. You know what? I'm never gonna do this again. I mean, true love doesn't stop. It doesn't give up. I think for me, I there was a point like I was feeling that way too, but I was like, well, what else I gotta do? There's nothing else I could think of I'm good at. Like, I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't good at anything else. I was just good at this. So I'm like, and not just good at, this is the only thing I connect with. This is the only thing that makes sense. So I stopped doing it for the people. And then this gift started becoming a blessing to me first. It's almost like if the songs, if the art that you're writing hasn't brought you enough validation and affirmation, I don't know if it will ever bring it to anybody else. It's gotta fill your validation up. Like, if nobody ever likes this song, I've got what I wanted from this song. And I've seen a lot more creatives do this. They never release their songs because they're so afraid. And don't get me wrong, there's so many songs that I wrote I will never release. Not because I'm afraid of what people will think. It's just meant for me. I didn't write it for everybody else. I wrote that for myself. And those are okay. But then there are those, perfectionism comes into the picture. It's like they go, I mean, forever. It takes them forever, and then forever after it doesn't get released.
Yeah, I'm guilty.
Oh,
Or at least I haven't.
and I think every time you're doing that, right, you ask yourself, like, who am I doing this for? And if you say, like, I'm just doing this for myself, no pressure. Work on it. Keep it between you and God, or however you want to do it. But if you say, hey, I want to release this, even if it's not good enough, just do it for the sake of honoring yourself, honoring the amount of, like, to let go of the fear of, like, what will people think too. Sometimes those were the hardest ones. I did a 40-day creative challenge once.
What?
Oh boy.
40 days.
40 days of producing something every day.
That's cool.
And I thought it was such a cool idea.
I thought it was a cool idea when you said it.
First 7 days, I had so much inspiration. After that, I'm like, what in the world? I can't think of anything. This is stressing me out. And sometimes it would sound so horrible. But the goal of those 40-day creative challenge was, no matter how horrible it is, I have to post it.
Okay, so this was like a different thing every day, not like one continuous.
No, it's a different song every day. So there were moments I felt so vulnerable. And that was such a huge shift in my thinking too, that putting that part of me out. And the worst part is, what you think is horrible has more likes than any other song. And I'm going like, am I crazy, or what is going on? So it's kind of like a really interesting dynamic in that moment. It was just, I think, vulnerability. You can't be creative without being vulnerable.
Yeah, you cannot. Sam, I'm sitting here, okay, I'm talking to you, and it's like the wisdom that's coming out of you, it's like I'm talking to an old man. But you are not old at all. No, I'm saying that as a compliment, okay?
Yes.
Because like you're a young dude, but you have all of this knowledge and wisdom and information. I'm like, somebody that's listening, how can they like how did you get there? I mean, do you even know that? I mean, I know you started young. I know you were like rooted in what church and God. But I mean, what can you attribute that to that someone that's listening is like, man, I want to be like that in terms of like journeying in like your process.
Yeah,
What would you say to that?
I think know what your uh, core values are. Really, that was a huge shift for me when I understood like what I really value the most in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it could be different things for different people. And then I think I started to respect them a lot more. And I didn't, and that is one thing, but also just being honest with yourself. Like, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to risk. Don't be afraid to step out. And because you never know what's on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've learned to have great instincts
Mm-hmm.
because I've made great mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Great instincts are made off of great mistakes. And I think there's no, sometimes mistakes teach you a lot more than experience will. It's just, I don't know how else to say that. I'm like, there are certain lessons I will only learn
Mm-hmm.
if I mess it up
Mm-hmm.
because it kills you. It kills every ounce of your ego. And now you're finally able to deal with the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge won't help. I think a lot of people are searching for knowledge. I'm like, I'm a knowledge geek. I'm like, oh, where's this? What is this? What is? And even with Enneagram, I'm like already like reading books about it. And I'm all about that. But end of the day, you'll go, it's not working because um, we haven't. Sometimes it feels like we're making the same mistakes over and over and over and over because we haven't learned from the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you finally stop and go, why am I going through the same thing again and again? Why isn't this battle won already?
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's something that you are not learning in that moment. And I think I've learned to be I've learned to learn from every little. I hate the part about going through my mistakes and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe how dumb that was. But also, like, I've also learned now I would never do that. And I know why I would not do that. So when I make mistakes, I'm not just going, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not going victim mode. I'm not going entitled mode. I'm not going like, well, you should have. I'm not deflecting. I'm not defending myself. I'm actually going, obviously, no matter it did hurt somebody
Mm-hmm.
and that affects me and I will let it affect me. I don't know if that's healthy or not. I will actually let it affect me to a point it will change me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Sounds healthy to me if there's change.
right. If it, I would be concerned if it's not affecting you, right? Like
Yeah.
something is off. Like it has to affect you for a moment. And I think the world was like, no, you're okay. It's all good. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. No, feel bad for a little bit. It's okay. Because that is your heart. That is something inside of you, a core part of you, which is probably good.
Mm-hmm.
Your core is always something that is good. Nobody goes like wakes up in the morning and is like, I want to kill somebody. That is not who we are. That's not how we were designed to think.
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm going to go and hurt this person. No, we don't think like that. So the core being is always trying to tell us, our conscience
Mm-hmm.
is always trying to tell us something. And when you allow yourself to be hurt, you you're you're letting your conscience kind of like teach you a lesson in that moment. I'm like, okay, I see. I will let this affect me so I won't do this again.
Yes, yes, yes.
So a lot of mistakes I've done terrible. I still do. I don't put the expectation that I have to be perfect on me. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I do, then I'm back to defending myself, not admitting to what I'm going through. Perfectionism is it's just a nasty um, thing for creatives because well, we all no one's perfect. We will make mistakes. We will keep making mistakes, but what do you do when you do those?
What do you do? All right, you know what? I gotta check the time here, Sam. Can't
Mm-hmm.
have you on here forever. But there's a lot of things we could talk about for
Is
another hour. Do you have
I
another hour?
I like it much better than Zoom. I
Hey, don't be clowning our Zoom. We're about to reach
we're
100
still
episodes.
we're still doing Zoom though.
We're still doing Zoom, though. We're still doing Zoom. Okay, so listen, but I do have a question before we get ready to wrap it up because the thing that's bubbling up for me is I want you to talk a little bit about. I know that there's been a lot of sacrifice. Like
Mhm.
you have made a lot of sacrifice to live the life that you're living in terms of what you're giving as a creative. So I'm like, what has that been like to live a life of sacrifice? And I mean, how necessary do you think that is in terms of your output?
Right. I think our lives' core motive is to love. And the greatest cost of love is sacrifice. You can't love and have say, I won't sacrifice. Sacrifice is not asked, sacrifices are made.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, if you actually go and say, I made all these sacrifices, then you don't understand sacrifices. Because I don't think they're sacrifices. I think that's love for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how I define love. For God so loved the world, he gave
Mm-hmm.
his only begotten son, right? And I think, and I have that, like, I want to be able to love people well. Um, and a huge part of that is the cost of that is sacrificing your success, sacrificing, and it might look like a sacrifice at the moment, but I think the fruit of love is always gonna show up. I think I am a huge believer in that, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it has never let me down. It's hurt me so many
Mm-hmm.
times. I've become more vulnerable. I've been rejected. I've been misunderstood. Um, but it was still worth it,
Mm-hmm.
and I would do it. So yeah, I mean, we all want favor.
Yeah.
We all want favor, and I think one of the things that I like to say is favor comes with a cost.
Mm.
Um, Rejection. I think there's a lot of people that don't connect with favor. I mean, suddenly, I don't know if you realize you become famous and your friends are no longer close with you anymore.
Mm.
And that happens a lot, and we don't talk a lot about that in the creative world, but it just happens. It's just this elephant in the room that nobody talks about. And then um, we go on with our own busy lives, and they go on, and then there's this hierarchy, or there's this familiarity. People don't know how to celebrate people.
Mm.
So let's say if you're promoted, you're like, oh, I'm happy for you, and then maybe she doesn't have time for me anymore. um,
Mm-hmm.
or just so I think it's very, very important that we're intentional, especially when we have favor. Like if you are on MTV, don't expect people to come and celebrate you. Go and talk to them. Go and talk to people. Be the thing that you wanna be. Like, just don't expect anybody to come. Oh, nobody ever called me. Nobody ever did this. We don't have to live like that. Entitlement breeds offense. I think so. Anytime you're offended, ask yourself why you're offended. You probably felt entitled to something.
Mm.
99% of the time. So that's where sacrifice really comes in picture, right? You may be right most of the times. you may be right,
Mhm.
but still choosing to love. I mean, I think about Jesus loving Judas. He knew from the get-go this guy was a con. He knew
Yeah.
the whole time that he was here for a different reason. Not just that, the Bible says, he had a stealing problem.
Mhm.
And the crazy part was, even at the Last Supper, Jesus knew why he came, and he still let him kiss him.
Mm.
I'm like, huh? and and I think true maturity is knowing that somebody can hurt you and you can still love them without letting that affect you,
Mhm.
right? And that requires a lot of maturity and a lot of work on self. um, I'm not saying let people abuse you, so I
Mm.
hope you get that right. I'm not, don't let people abuse you. um, but there'll come a point where you know that there's somebody in your life with an agenda, because everybody has an agenda, trust me.
Yeah.
Everybody you meet has an agenda, believe it or not.
Mhm.
Some say it, some don't. Some act like they do, some act like they don't.
Yeah.
But everybody does have an agenda. It's about, can you still love them even if they do? Can you be honest with them about your agendas? So
Mm.
I think it just all points back to one thing for me, is love. Love has a cost and sacrifice. Sacrifice your opinion, sacrifice your ego, sacrifice whatever it takes. And I'm nowhere close to that.
Well, we're all moving in that direction.
I want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to be there. I'm just on a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on a journey. Okay, so before you go, I need to know what you're working on. Like, what projects are you working on? Anything
I,
you can share about?
yeah, yeah. I'm actually now working with Desert Worship Collective. That's a new kind of like a collaborative thing that's emerged in the desert, with like a lot of creatives, church leaders, worship leaders, singers, songwriters. And I am kind of like getting back. I've laid down mixing and production and writing for a long time, because I just felt like I was doing it for the wrong reasons.
Mm.
And it was healthy for me to actually enjoy it, just pull back and not do it for anything. So I'm excited finally to like get back into it. And I think I'm just having a lot of fun with that. I just built my own studio with some help. Uh, so I'm ready to get back into that space. I really enjoy it. Like, that's like a stress buster for me.
Okay.
Apart from that, nothing, nothing fancy really. That's pretty much it. And I have some projects that Bridge has written about 8 songs. I'm waiting to produce them. Um, it is a huge production we make. We usually do a big production and a lot of finances, and we need to do a lot of fundraising for that. So we're kind of like in between that. So once that is done, we're gonna start producing those songs. And the last one was phenomenal. That was just like, I felt like after that, I'm like, I don't know how to top that. So I'm feeling a little intimidated after the last season, because there are those moments where it just goes beyond you,
Mm.
and you don't know how to, like, how do I top that? Like, God, I don't know. So so I think last season was very special, but I don't know how this season's gonna be. So I'm just kind of like waiting and planning and just living life.
Okay. And where can people like find you if they want to follow you and stay connected to what you're doing? You're on social.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, but don't use it much. I'm not that active at all. Have like 10 posts on there.
I was a fail at TikTok, so
So I feel old for some reason.
you're not.
Um, but I'm a I'm glad I don't like TikTok. I'm just kidding. No, but I'm on Instagram. You can connect with me on Instagram. I even don't do Facebook. I think most of the social media platforms, like I just don't have the bandwidth to like go on there and do something. So I just stuck to Instagram because that's probably most my friends, people that I know, but also like people that genuinely follow me are there. So that's probably the only place so far that I am actually active.
And you're Sam Pasula on there.
Sam Alex Pasula.
Okay. We'll put it down below.
Yeah.
Any websites?
No.
Okay.
In the making.
All right, in the making. So just go to the IG.
Just go to the IG for now. The good old IG.
The good old IG. Oh man.
IG is not old for some people, but it's apparently very old.
Well, Facebook is even older, isn't it?
Okay, are we going there?
I mean, I don't even. We're not gonna go there right now. Listen, I'm not the one to be talking about socials. I'm horrible with social media. Like,
no, I can't. I just even on Instagram, I'm like, not just Instagram, my phone. The amount of unread messages I got, like it's not like I don't care. It's just like I'm not a text guy. I'm not like I have like
you're a call guy.
I'm over 1,000 texts.
Wow.
Unread after cleaning them up like in like 4 months ago. So
okay, well.
not the most social person on the social media side of things.
Okay.
But if you know me and if you're close to me, you probably have my number and you can call me. If you don't have my number, then let's assume that we're not close, right?
Well, you know what? You can just replay this, okay, if you want to hear from Sam and he's not on social, or maybe we'll have him on again with the new setup.
Message me on Instagram still. I sometimes do respond. Just don't get offended if I didn't.
Don't get offended. Don't get offended. Oh my God.
Personal.
It's not personal. It's always hard to wrap these up and say goodbye because I always love our features. Sam, you've been amazing.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for sharing and for all of that good stuff. So, all right, you guys, we're going to wrap it up. You have been listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative and Projects. I've been your host, Melissa Sharee, with the one and only Sam Pasula. So until next time, you already know what it is. I want you to keep creating. Bye.
Bye. Wow. You are a pro at this.
If I can get it to stop. We're still here.
We're still here. We're going to put this as the promo.
This is what happens when you don't have your mouse connected. You know what? Let's just do this, okay? Bye.
No, oh my God, that is not. Why are you sharing? Oh, 2 people.
It's right here.
No, the next one.
This one?
Jesus Christ.